It's been 2.5 years, almost 3, but we're long overdue some sort of shake-up, some upgrading, some refreshing to make the show even better than it already is, because god damn it, it's the best damn podcast in the world.
So for the next couple weeks, we're going to be doing a survey asking what listeners like about the show and what they don't, and also taking ideas for new segments, maybe even new spin-off series. But to make that happen, we need your help.
So if you check out the description of this week's episode, you'll find a survey link where you can talk about how much you want to get rid of the news segment.
Oh, God, come on.
Hello and welcome to the Dad and Sons podcast. We all hope you're doing very well out there, washing your hands, taking care of yourselves, and looking after each other while playing lots of video games inside and listening to our sultry voices. Well, Matt's sultry voice.
Especially Matt's.
Especially Matt's. And then listening to me and George whine as usual. We're here to comfort you during this torrid time. It is, of course, the Dads and Sons, George, Matt, and myself, Liam. How are you guys doing?
Surviving.
George, George, putting a thumbs up to the camera does not help for an audio feature.
Right? It's like instinctive at this point, though, because I'm just so... for the past 3 days, I've been...
Can't shake anybody's hand.
Yeah. I'm even, like, jiggling them kind of rubbery and bouncy, like I'm... like there's some sort of virtual physics simulation in my brain that's happening with my hands.
Yeah, you're truly getting ready for the isolation apocalypse past coronavirus in like 20 years' time when we fully just live in VR.
I sent a text message to a friend of mine who is a nurse right now about how I'm... She was asking how I'm holding up, and I just replied with lots of VR and home cooking.
Did you ask her how she was holding up? Because I imagine she's having a way worse time.
Yeah, spirits are still high somehow. She's someone who thrives in a stressful environment.
So
very different personality.
Yeah, bless those people. Bless those people.
Right.
But speaking of isolation, the whole world, but actually the factual number is 1/4 of the population of the entire planet is currently in some form of lockdown or isolation. So, we turned to Twitter again this week to ask another spectacular question of the week, which this week was, if you had to be stuck in a game world, a world from a game, for the period of said isolation, what game world would it be? Brackets, Animal Crossing is cheating. Close brackets. And we had a lot of replies, as usual, so thank you to everybody who replied. I can dig straight into these immediately. Is Vita Renders with The Elder Scrolls, but like in 3,000 years in the future after they invent technology, but they have similar world to ours, but also can shoot fire from their hands.
Can he do that?
That's cheating.
That's cheating.
I'm wondering though, like, isn't the canon that they're so good at magic they don't really care about developing technology that much?
Is Fallout just that in the future, or is
Elder Scrolls with guns? Yeah.
Or is what's the upcoming? Not upcoming, but that far distant.
Wasteland?
No. What is it called? Starfield or something? What was the one they teased at E3 when Bethesda were all like, "Yeah, we're amazing," and then before they released Fallout 76, Starfield or something? I wonder if that's...
Starfield, yeah.
I wonder if that takes place in the same universe and then technically is the future and then everybody can fire fireballs still or do fuss radars while on spaceships.
How long are we supposed to wait before we just jump straight to our favorite?
I don't know, but I'm going to run through a couple first, and then George, you can tell you.
Okay.
So,
because I got one that I love.
We had quite a few. So Andre Noose says Death Stranding. Well, isolating anyway, so why not isolate in a futuristic bunker that's secure, has a 3D printer that can print almost anything, and a food delivery service. It's not a bad one. It's not a bad one.
There's a very, very important caveat to that universe, though, that I imagine makes it especially unenjoyable to live in.
You can't go outside because of scary black monsters.
Also, everyone is... Whoa!
That's like
also,
regular life for some people.
Oh my god. Did you guys read the flavor text emails about how everyone is so miserable and stressed out that everyone in the future of Death Stranding becomes asexual?
I mean, if you read Twitter now, everybody is also the same. Everybody is stressed out and becoming slowly asexual because you ain't getting no action inside.
I don't know if I want to live in a future where I'm not horny.
Yeah, me either.
Someone please clip that. Please clip that. Jake Casdell, Breath of the Wild. There's a pretty beautiful landscape. Corrupted Helios, Wind Waker. Kind of like Animal Crossing. It's an island that's very sunny and beautiful.
Still too post-apocalyptic for me.
New Donk City.
I don't know. If you guys go to the top of one of the buildings in New Donk City and look at the horizon, there's just skyscrapers all the way out to the horizon.
And
it looks a little oppressive.
Yeah, and it looks like cardboard ones. So you'd be like, am I in some form of play? Am I in some form of movie set, maybe?
There is something inherently creepy about that place, as cheerful and wonderful as it is to bop and boop around in. I have a lot of questions about why everyone, like, dresses the same and acts the same and sounds the same and where they get all the resources to build an entire horizon square mile length of giant New York cities. Something evil is going on in the background of New Donk City. We just gotta wait for the sequel to find out.
It is quite sinister. That was from Big Titty Goth BF.
Oh, yay.
Yay.
Someone's favorite Final Fantasy girl growing up was Lulu.
MKS says Yakuza 3, but only the first part where it's set in Okinawa. I can totally agree with this because it is beautiful. The start of that game is gorgeous. Apart from the fact that you have to run an orphanage, and right now, in the current climate we're in, kids are going to be getting sick left to right and center because they're like literal disease bags. And then,
however, knowing the Yakuza games and Japan in general, you probably would be allowed to be horny in that setting.
True, but not if you run an orphanage where the doors are like Japanese canvas doors.
That's why you go outside to
let out your isolating. We can't go outside.
Oh yeah, that's right. I wonder how the VR rental booth industry is doing over there then.
Morg Ritchie, who is one of the Nintendo localization people on the Treehouse stream you'll see sometimes, says personal trainer cooking. He can just eat all day. You can keep printing food and eating it all day. And because there's no punishment in the game logic, you won't get fat, you won't get high cholesterol, and you can just eat all day without any repercussions. I'd be down for that.
I see no downsides whatsoever.
I don't see it. Apart from maybe the crappy 3DS graphics, you'll be getting constant headaches from all the pixelated graphics.
It'll hide the smudges in my face.
We got lots of Breath of the Wilds, lots of Pokemon. I mean, yeah, Pokemon, I guess, would be one of the top ones. Stardew Valley, lots of Stardew Valleys. Some ridiculous ones like Bloodborne and Dark Souls. Good luck to everybody who wants to go to those worlds.
If I was stuck in a Pokemon world, I'd start panicking and, like, overthinking whether or not the Pokemon have consent to, like, be battling each other.
Whoa.
And also why everyone's so obsessed with Pokemon in the Pokemon universe either. Don't these people have something else to do?
Why are we so obsessed with video games? I don't know. It's just an industry. Like, if you walk around the Pokemon world, just because you're focused on Pokemon because that's your role doesn't mean that all the entire industries of, like, the people who make the technology that collects Pokemon, the people who give you bikes, there's got to be manufacturers, there's got to be people who cook food. There's whole other industries, George. Don't pigeonhole yourself.
Well, I mean, okay, to be fair, when you're in the Pokemon world and you talk to your mom, she's like, "Oh, I hope you're gonna have a good Pokemon career, son. Go out and go on an adventure and do it." And then you walk outside and talk to the first person outside your door, and they say like, "I like giving my Pokemon TMs." Sometimes people will just say something like, "I like wearing shorts." So I guess they are the exception. Everyone else though is creepily obsessed with Pokemon.
I hate anime rap battles, says Evilise from Final Fantasy 12 and Final Fantasy Tactics, which I also think is a really good choice because that is quite a beautiful world. And it's quite hot, it's quite sunny. There's pirate ships in the sky. That'd be pretty good.
But isn't there some kind of evil going on in the background because there's like royal intrigue?
But isn't there evil going about in
kingdoms?
almost every world?
Which is why I like to just lock myself in my room and load up on VR and home cooking.
But the VR worlds you're in, George, are all antagonistic and coming to kill you.
But they're marketed in a way that's supposed to keep me sane.
And okay, I'll say one last one, and then we can move on to our own personal favorites. Zax 19 Taken says, "Hoonie Pop, don't judge me."
That is definitely the horniest universe I think we've had on this so far.
Which one is that one?
It's the
Google it, Matt.
match for puzzle. I guess we can call it. We can definitely call it a porn game, right?
It's like the most famous porn game, right? It like bridges the gap between. Wait, is this a porn game?
I'm sorry,
or
let me
is
get my pencil out.
I don't know why people say Hunie Pop. I've always read it as Honey Pop.
It's honey pop, right? Like honeys, like
Honey Pop.
It's not spelled Hyunie. It's Hunie.
hune.
Yeah, the puzzle game.
I mean, it depends if
the,
it's Japanese. If it's hunye, I don't know.
That game was like leading the charge for the morally righteous cause of getting porn games on Steam.
Yeah, it was
which
like
is now unavoidable whenever you go to Steam.
Wow, well, it feels like Hunipop's been around for years, but it was only released in 2015. That is crazy.
I mean, that's years, man.
That's years.
That's years.
We're really old, Liam.
Wow.
We're far in the future.
Oh yeah, this
We're in
game
the
was released on
cyberpunk
Kickstarter.
dystopia.
It was a Kickstarter. Oh my god. It's all coming back now. It's all my Hunipop playthroughs. Never played it.
I think... I just don't... I've heard some of the writing and the voice acting in that universe, and despite how horny everyone is, I just don't know if I'd get along well with them on a personality level, you know?
Yeah. You need more of an AI-based porn game.
George just needs it in VR. That's all he needs.
Oh, they're all in VR.
All right.
Right?
All right.
Okay.
Know, right?
Okay, George, what was your favorite?
My favorite is from Megalophyte, where they just say nothing more homey than this, and then post a picture of the Silent Hill 4 apartment. Now, see, this is one that I feel is just good advice. Exactly. It's an accurate depiction of what it is like to be following your social distance lockdown quarantine rules during the COVID-19 epidemic. I mean, Silent Hill 4 was just 15 years ahead of its time is all. The themes the game explores of Japanese social isolation is something that I guess the rest of us just had to inherit and live through. We can all learn an important lesson from being trapped inside the video game universe of Silent Hill 4: The Room.
Matt, how about you? Where would you like to be trapped?
Star Wars comes to mind, but that's like
That's a pretty good one.
Man. Life is too cheap in the Star Wars universe for me. I want health insurance.
Yeah,
help insurance.
I don't want to be the rebel and then be blown up,
Or the nameless stormtrooper number 1 billion who's
Yeah.
a pixel in the Death Star explosion,
Yeah, that would suck.
Everyone dies in like half an hour in Star Wars.
Honestly.
Unless you're Chewbacca and somehow you don't die.
But being able to use the Force, oof. Oof.
So would you take the gamble? Now here's the question, right? You have a 6-sided dice. On each face of the dice is like a role in the Star Wars universe. You've got like 3 good ones, like a Force user, a bounty hunter, and then maybe some sort of senator in the Senate or whatever.
Sorry,
And then
I'm one of those people who only want to be a Jedi.
all right, so the Force using
God.
Jedi, but then there are 3 others. It's like some janitor on the Death Star. The other is like some
janitor on Alderaan.
some Jawa, and then I don't know, some other part of the universe where you're just in the backwaters of nowhere and your planet gets blown up by the Death Star.
Yeah,
Would you take the risk?
No. Absolutely not.
As we found out in The Mandalorian, the backwater in Star Wars is like really freaking bad sometimes. Like they're living in the Stone Ages and they still know people are flying in and out of space from their like mud farming hut camps.
I'll take Middleman, Mega Man Battle Network. Let's do that world.
We were talking about that like this week, weren't we? For some reason,
You're on a mega
the
kick.
hell out of it. Yeah.
Whoa! What?
That's been my coronavirus game. Mega Man Battle Network. I have all of them just right there waiting for me.
How are you playing
get through a
them?
lot of weird games during this time.
How are you playing them?
Through Visual Boy. I'm emulator.
Interesting.
I wish it would release it on Switch. It would be perfect.
I mean, it was released on the old Wii U. If you if you can't dust that out.
I am so good.
I went to bed last night regretting that I didn't actually finish Zombie U before packing that thing up. That's what I thought about as I fell asleep last night.
I feel like cheating would be to choose somewhere like a short hike. A beautiful
You want to be
island.
an animal? What animal would you
Guess what
and I'd
game
totally
I
be
played
the
this
penguin.
week?
I'd be cool with that. Or whatever the hell Claire is. I'd like fly around on that island, jump off the top, and just safely go down to the bottom. You've got like hot springs up near the snow of the mountain. You have this beautiful beach down at the bottom, some grassy bits, some autumn looking bits.
sex change, Liam? Is that what you're saying? You want a sex change?
I didn't think
Liam
I didn't think now would be the time we came to talk about this, but no. I'm totally fine with being any gender as long as I can live on a really wickedly awesome designed mountain. But I feel like that's cheating. I'd probably just choose somewhere that has a lot of food and shelter.
The basics? That's all?
I don't know. Like, a lot of games are just dangerous. Well, oh well. Everybody can just hide away in their own little game worlds like we have been this week, isolating away. You guys have been playing isolation games because obviously, America is like a 5th world country at this point.
Well, yeah, we literally are playing games with our medical policy, so yeah.
And Japan is still not smart enough to at least impose some sort of restrictions because fuck those guys, right? So I've been playing a lot of games when I can, surprisingly. 2 very specific ones, and one I've kind of digged into a little bit, which we can talk about. But before we jump in, because I know, George, you're dying to talk about it, and so am I. Matt, tell me all about Mega Man Battle Network.
Oh, I've been itching all week to talk about Mega Man Battle Network on this podcast.
George is just gonna cut me off. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
It's not. We're
bite my tongue. I'm gonna hold myself way back here and join in this lovely discussion.
I want to hear about it because for whatever reason, I don't know if our conversation led you to play it or you were planning on playing it and that's why we had the conversation. I don't know the order of things, but for some reason you were just like, oh yeah, Mega Man Battle Network. Who made that again? Oh, it's Kenji Inafune. Oh no!
You have an Oculus, but you're playing Mega Man Battle Network, so I'm sure there's a story there too.
This is before Half-Life came out. Hold on. Let's go into order now. I'm gonna be playing that over the weekend.
So yeah, that's the story. That's the story.
So
You're telling us the story.
the tally is already one VR interruption already.
God damn it, guys.
Oh my god! I swear, if a viewer ever goes back in all the podcasts and see how many times George has interrupted me and talked about his own shit, I'm telling you.
God.
I'm telling you, it would be insane. Insane. Be like, Matt, why are you even on this podcast? You're just here to derail, and that's it.
You said you were gonna be quiet during this podcast.
He said that before we knew he was going to talk about Mega Man Battle Network. Now all I want to hear about
It's
because my nostalgia for that game is strong, but I don't think I personally would go back and play it. Like when I look at screenshots of it, I'm like, fuck yeah, look at that. That is, that looks great. And that sounds great. Please tell me
use the right filter, you know?
Please tell me it looks and sounds as good as it used to.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Yeah, like that music, man. I love that. It's the same. It's like a kiddie Mega Man. It's a kiddie Mega Man with a really good combat system. I would say the only thing that would annoy you would be random encounters. That's pretty much it. That's it.
So the thing that annoys me about most RPGs
is random encounters.
What's
that is like the only thing that's annoying. And you get overpowered because you're constantly encountering people, constantly getting money, and you can constantly get power-ups. So eventually it kind of snowballs for you. And all of a sudden you're just Mega Man. You just steamroll through everything. You just have to have
Mega Man.
Mega Man.
What was that talk you gave on filters? You're using filters?
Yeah. Because the regular game is real. It'll cut your eyes. Just like playing Dragon Quest.
I'm wondering though if you guys remember if the Game Boy Advance had scan lines like a CRT did. There's no way it would have had like the glowy phosphorescence.
No, it was pixel density, right? So the screen was what, 240p? I can't remember.
Damn.
But there was no scan lines, if I remember correctly.
So what kind of filters are you using and what do they do?
It's like it blends them together, so it looks more like a painting-ish. Not too much, but it does blend them together. So you don't see any jaggies at all. So
this isn't one of those like CRT filters that warps the screen to look like a bubble with scan lines across it. You're doing the 2x style.
Yes. Yeah. 4x.
Yeah.
I have it huge.
Yeah, I loved playing with those things on emulators. You see a lot of hate for them on a lot of forums and comments, but I am of the opinion that it depends on the art style of the game you're using. Because if I'm playing through Earthbound, I would totally be down to use one of those filters. On the other hand, if we're playing... Oh, actually it works really well, I think, with Yoshi's Island. But for something like Super Metroid that has a darker neon, grittier feel where the harsh edges are supposed to be there, it can muddy up the image. But yeah, no, I like those filters when the art style is appropriate for them.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one I use. I believe it's HQ4X. HQ4X. I have it super wide, like 6X. And it just looks clean. But yeah, Mega Man Battle Network. It's an old game. Blast from the Past, probably one of my favorites of all time. Remember playing that with my stepbrother. Throughout the whole game, there it's a good one. I'm playing through the first one and then probably eventually get to the last one. It's just like a nice game to like kind of pick up and play a little bit and then go back to your life. But yeah, it's a goodie. It's a goodie.
Nice.
It's a goodie. Yeah. Liam was on his phone the entire time, though.
I was actually looking at screenshots of the game. I wanted to try and feel it via your words and the screens, because I remember I bought it for the
describe
Wii
the
U.
combat. Like everyone knows Mega Man Battle Network. You get chips, you toss them to your
Grid Lords,
and it's cool. It's cool. That's it. Yeah, but it's old.
How many did they make? Like 5 of them? I can't remember.
Yeah, they made 5. No, or maybe 6. Oh, okay. And in the conversation, for people who wanted to know, we were talking. I was like, "Oh, I wonder who made it and what they're doing now." And it was the guy who made Mighty Number 9. I was so disappointed.
I mean, it's Kenji Inafune, the guy who made Mega Man. What do you expect?
I did not know. I did not know. I thought it was like, I don't know. I thought it was like a spin-off to the side and someone else made it. Nope. But,
I forgot that the terrorist organization is called WWW. Yes. World
it's
3.
Kitty. It's definitely Kitty. It's like Smart Kitty though. Like it's not bad.
It's so good.
Like you live in a universe where you literally can jack into anything.
Whoa.
That's George's life.
Like it paints a picture of like everyone's just depending on technology.
Like right now.
Yeah, and then things go wrong, and it just because technology just tends to fail. Like my car shutting off on me in the middle of the road.
Life imitates art.
My laptop.
Yeah. My laptop is also dying. I gotta fix that.
My old internet. Beautiful stuff. Wow.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wow, I'm glad you've been having fun, man. That sounds like such a good nostalgia trip.
Yeah, because once you're done and you move on to playing something on your big fancy Oculus,
it's gonna be Half-Life.
You are in for a treat, my friend.
So,
you are in for a treat.
George, I'm surprised. You only interrupted once, which is a new record. So...
Mm-hmm.
Little Half-Life Alyx.
Yo, you guys.
Yes.
I wonder if this is the last time in my life where I might feel like an ignorant child watching my favorite toys change forever. 'Cause this is the Mario 64 moment for me. That was the feels I was feeling going through this.
Interesting.
Since Super Hot, this is the game that I think since Super Hot has been connecting dots in my brain that just can't believe what I'm seeing on the screen and how many different new angles I can see it from and how playable and snappy and responsive it all is, despite how completely different this game looks and feels from the normal, in such a literal sense too, because this is a game you can reach your arm out and feel around in.
Yeah. So how much have you played so far?
I think I'm going to be finishing it today. I think I'm 2-3 hours away from an ending scene.
Okay, so
I've played for
how many hours?
3 big sessions so far.
Okay, so
I would say I'm 6 hours in minimum, maybe 8.
I've played for about 4 hours.
Wait, what? You guys have been what?
Yeah.
You guys have played.
I have me.
You,
Liam.
You.
Me. I have been playing.
Did you borrow someone's Oculus?
I borrowed a friend's Oculus
Rift.
Rift.
The Quest.
No, I don't. I know I borrowed it. So now, boys, So I borrowed the Quest from my office, but we don't have link cables for the Quest. So a friend of mine was we were talking about it, and he was like, "Oh, I have the Rift S and the Oculus Rift," and I thought Half-Life Alyx only worked on the Rift S and the Quest, but then I checked and it works on the first generation Oculus as well, not the Kickstarter prototype stuff, but the actual first commercial released one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I don't know, man. We've done how many shows about VR now? Come on,
It's still not bad.
No, and that's the thing.
It's still not bad.
It's got higher fidelity than the Quest. So
yeah, I'm saying that because it's one of the first that came out, and it's still one of the good ones.
And
for like such an early example.
Apart from the controllers, which I imagine make the experience a little detrimental compared to having a big fancy $1,000 Index.
Yeah, well, I also have a $1,000 hole in my pocket now in the middle of a global pandemic, and the tracking sometimes fucks up. There's like
You should have got an Oculus, man.
As good as the game is, I'm seriously worried I might have made a really bad mistake.
I do kind of
now.
feel like I'm laughing at the rich.
Dude, why didn't you get the Oculus? What's wrong with you, man? Tracking is like superb, man.
I thought there would be more Valve Index specific gimmicks going on with the finger tracking, right?
Yeah.
They did release a statement saying that Index users would get some optional finger tracking.
Didn't you get the game for free as well?
Capabilities. No, I had to pay $1,000 for it, but yes, it comes with your $1,000 purchase.
The most expensive game you've ever bought. Hands down.
I seriously... it hurts. It hurts thinking that I did that.
I mean, I know you're going to go on about it because you know more about VR and have had more VR experiences, but just before we do that, I 1000% agree this is two things. Two things. It is top tier. It is one of the best companies in the business. Doing
back, baby.
Doing what they are good at, which is pushing
Valve is fucking back
technology
after 14
forward.
years.
There are moments in Half-Life Alyx I have not had in any video game since I was like a kid, and like it was this whole new world to me, because it is the most important thing about this that I want to talk about, because I disagree a little bit about the Super Mario 64 thing, a little bit, but it is hands down only a VR game. If you are like one of those people who are complaining, saying there should be a non-VR mod for this game, and that's fair. If you're a big Half-Life fan but you can't afford it, that kind of sucks, and I know you want to experience it, but for the love of God, please, for the love of God, do not play this game unless you're playing it in VR. This game is, from the top down, completely designed for you to be in that world. Think of all the times you had motion controllers like the PlayStation Move or the Wii. Yeah, it was fun, but you were kind of just waggling about at a TV screen and it never felt like you were doing anything. But the way the gravity gloves work and the way that world works is so good, and it can only be done in VR, that playing it in any other way would be a complete disservice to how incredible this game can be at times.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. It's made for VR. Being able to like open up doors and stuff, it's amazing.
Like
I seen you play, George. That's like I was at work and I saw the pop-up come up for Twitch and I was like and I played it and watched a little bit. I was just like being able to do everything with your hands.
Yeah, the whole game you're interfacing with your hands. You very, very rarely press buttons to get stuff done.
And it feels like they're your hands.
Yeah.
Going from Boneworks to this is a master class in how many tricks, how many subtle tricks, how much damn work it takes to make VR feel immersive and responsive. Boneworks has arms attached to your hands with collision on them, and a lot of times when you move your body, they'll go out of sync. In Half-Life Alyx, your hands have collision on them, but they're much more smaller. And also, one thing that I thought was really freaking clever is that everything you grab is weightless for the first few frames. when you first grab something and move your hand around, you're not going to lose track of your hand because of that. Whatever you grab, be it a giant garbage can full of lead, is going to be completely and utterly weightless up until there's a few inches of gap between the ground and the object, and you hold it up higher. Then your hand starts lagging and you start to feel the disconnect. But by that point, your brain is probably already looking at your hand and trying to like figure out where it's going to go and what you're going to do with it. Whereas in Boneworks, everything is as heavy as it is
intended. Yeah.
Yeah, and as soon as you grab something and try to lift it up, if it's too heavy, your arm immediately goes out of sync, and it feels weird. And Half-Life Alyx, when my $1,000 VR set is not fucking up the tracking, everything feels perfect.
I've not had that many issues with tracking.
That makes me so mad.
Because it's the Oculus.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad that this $1,000 VR headset still has its moments.
Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No. I've been saying it from day one. I don't understand how it works. These little sensors, dude. Like, you just put them off to the side. Sometimes you move them, and it doesn't matter. It just fixes itself. Like, I don't understand what they did, but it's magic.
I taped mine onto the ceiling, and they still up on the wall, close to the ceiling, and there's still certain spots on the ground where I stand at, and my left hand will start sinking out of my left hand will just start sliding to the right if I'm looking at a certain point and holding at a certain angle.
Honestly, in the 4 hours of play, I've not had that happen, at all. The things I have had happen is my hands clip into objects and then spasm out a little bit. Like, that happens, and that is the part that reminds me it's a VR game, and there are some of the things about the blinking around and how that works and stuff, which is so fast and quick. It's amazing as a game, but
it's OP as shit.
It's those things that make me not think it is the leap forward that Super Mario 64 was. It still is, apart from the gravity aspect of it, where tethering an object in the distance and flinging it, and the kinetic force of your actual arm movement is how fast you throw it and whip it at yourself, and then the feeling of catching it and pressing the triggers to grip it is the best sensation I've felt in any game or experience for a long time. But then, you'll try and pick up a barrel, and it'll be it'll be all over the place and clipping into every object. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just like other VR games. It's kind of like Robo Recall, and it reminds me of that. And I'm like, it still is a game.
I had a moment where the game introduces the grenades to you, and you're only allowed to hold one of them. You're only allowed to hold 2 maximum in the same inventory slots that have healing items. And I was looking around the room, and I saw a box, and I thought, wait a minute. I could just do what human beings have done for tens of thousands of years and put what I can't carry in my pockets in this box. So for the next 30 minutes, I was carrying around a giant box full of key cards and grenades, everything I thought I might need that wouldn't fit in my inventory, and I was carrying it across loading screens. What? And eventually, the game did start crashing very reliably when carrying around containers of physics objects. Apparently, they patched that out today, though, so that's I think the most immersion breakage I've got so far. But as someone with amply developed VR legs, who's totally used to the teleporting, I thought of it as a sprint, more like your default walk. I feel is really, really slow.
Oh man,
and I didn't.
The teleport is fucking amazing. Once you get used to it, you know where you're going. It's so good.
Yeah. If anything, I think that has made combat too easy for me, so I bumped it up to the hard mode. And I like that.
I think the combat is balanced out by the reloading of the gun, which is
you get better at it.
For me, I stood there for ages practicing, flicking it out, pulling it out of my bag, putting it in, pressing the button. But then you get to combat, and it's like, and I'm dropping my bullets on the floor, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm picking them up, and then I'm blinking away, and like, oh fuck.
Trying to pick up individual bullets and put them back.
I'm like tethering them and trying to catch them in the middle of the air and just flinging them over my head. I'm like, oh fuck, what's going on? I haven't died. It is not hard, that is for sure. It is definitely not a difficult game. There is some leniency. But there are 2 moments in it that I've been like, oh fuck, this game is good. The one like
only 2?
The one where I thought I could not have done this in any other game. One was I picked up a skull from a distance with a tether, caught it with one hand, I threw it at the like whatever zombie with a head crab on, whatever they call them in Half-Life, which knocked it back a little bit. It stumbled into like a kind of corner, and then from the other side with the other hand I tethered a gas canister and I whipped it, and as it was in midair going across the screen towards the guy, I fired the gun which I pulled out with the other hand that I just used, and I shot it and exploded, and I was like, oh my god, that was the coolest shit I will ever do, and nobody saw it. It was amazing.
This is a game to stream. I haven't said it out loud, but one of the ulterior motives, I think, to streaming this game and making content for it is the acknowledgement that it's such a niche release with such an expensive buy-in that a lot of people who are watching will never be able to own the hardware and a copy of this game.
Seriously,
themselves.
if you can borrow a headset from a friend like I did, if you're lucky enough to do that, please do it. Buy it on Steam, and if you can't run it, even though my PC is under the minimum specs on Steam, it still runs absolutely fine.
Yo, what's the deal with that? Why is this game so good?
And on low, it still looks incredible. Like, yeah, when you like face up with textures, it's mad. I don't know.
I've never seen a VR game look this good and run this good. It's insane.
There are like, I put the Rift down for like 10 minutes to like go eat and go do something, and then when I came back, it was all jittery and stuff. It'd been on the pause menu for ages, and that I reset it, and then everything was fine again. But it does have issues sometimes. The best thing I've experienced so far is like when you get, so it's quite dark in some places. No spoilers there. So you get a flashlight, and the flashlight is on the alternate hand to wherever your weapon is. So you can choose which hand you want your weapon in, left hand or right hand, and then the flashlight goes on the other hand. So you have to, with one hand, use the weapon, which if you are not pointing the spotlight in the same direction, you cannot see where you're looking. And then you have to use your other free hand to control where the light is, like a real torch. And it is fucking creepy and really scary at times. And the most I've ever felt like I was in a real world was when I was in one of the environments where there was like a spotlight coming through, but it was pitch black, so I could only see like shadows and stuff. And I put the torch down facing the ground so there was no light, and the whole area was just illuminated, kind of like Matt's room is now, by just area lighting, like spotlights. So I couldn't see the textures. All I could see was the shapes. And it felt like I was truly in a space, and I was out, like almost out of my body. Like, it was so amazing. Oh god damn.
I had a wonderful moment where the first time I ran out of ammo while fighting a head crab, some dad instincts kicked in, and I did the same thing I would have done if a squirrel was running loose in the kitchen. I just reached for a bucket, flipped it over, and tried to like slam it on top of the head crab and drag the bugger outside, and it didn't totally work. There's technically no melee damage, but if they do get impacted with the physics object hard enough, they stumble and bumble.
It really frustrates me that there's no melee damage.
almost worked. It did stun the head crab for a while, and the fact that like enough of that got done, that's something that I thought of naturally, instinctively, and then operated on without worrying about whether or not it worked in the game, still helped me out in the game, is like crossing shit over to the next level. At that point, you're no longer thinking in terms of video game rules. You're thinking in terms of like, okay, what would IRL me do with my hands? Will this work or not? Versus what games and mechanics and obstacles has the game showed me so far that are applicable to my current situation. It's like a different way of thinking about how to navigate a game for a radically different way of interfacing with the game.
It's very good. And it does frustrate me, though, that there is no melee damage, because there's so many things you can grab in the world and use. Like boxes, you can smash glass, you can have...
ammo is scarce.
And ammo is scarce, but the idea that you can...
need some kind of backup plan.
The idea that you can pick up a brick from a distance and then throw it physically at like a head crab is amazing. It should deal some damage. It should have some real world...
You get stunned. You get stunned. No damage, but you do get a stun.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a bit of a missed opportunity.
With this, actually. The thing is that I'm thinking of this almost like a survival horror game, actually. Like, especially after I bumped the difficulty up to hard. I don't know if you've noticed this, Liam. Like, this is leaning way harder on the horror side of Half-Life.
It is scary at times.
And the action and the combat and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, which is, I fucking love. It's like a whole game of Ravenholm. There's a lot more, you're going to see a lot more zombies and head crabs than you are Combine
They do
soldiers.
realize, though, that VR is like built for horror games.
Right,
They're like, we can get away with this quite easily if we just stick them in a creepy alien-esque tunnel and turn the lights off and then have head crabs jump at them. It does feel like the first Half-Life.
This is absolutely the most... I don't know. There was Superhot. I had a great time with Superhot. I was about to say, this is the most fun I've had with VR since RE7. I guess this is the most time I felt like a genre was intended to be played this way. The game was intended to be played this way. This feels like the first 8-hour-long campaign that was built for VR, which feels weird to say about RE7 because like most people probably played it on the flat screen mode, but I had the time of my life playing it in the VR mode, and they had all those GDC sessions about how the game was developed with VR in mind from the get-go.
You can't play this game in any other way. Like, you can't.
Oh, people are going to try. We're going to talk about it during the news section.
Just watch a playthrough instead. If you want to know the story, which, by the way...
I recommend that, actually.
Which, by the way...
VR games are so fun to watch.
The story, by the way, considering it's Half-Life and it's a continuation, there's barely any... Like, there's, like, nothing.
It's fine.
It's barely nothing.
Oh, seriously?
It's fun. You have some really fun characters so far, and I think that's all you need.
Yeah. But in terms of, like...
But that's like Half-Life anyway.
Yeah, but in terms of, like, continuation of what people have waited, like, 12 years for, it is not as...
Oh, that's disappointing.
It's not...
I'm not disappointed.
I don't know. It's not as... In the 4 hours I've played so far, there has been like one Half-Life lore-related thing that has happened.
Did you get to the Vortigaunt?
No, yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't with the Gordon Freeman shrine outside, and
yeah, but that's it. But even then, it is like that is for environmental storytelling to help you solve the puzzle. It's not really a continuation of the lore in any way.
I won't say it for Matt, but certain dots in my head that were kind of cool
dots.
Connected with some
nice.
stuff there.
Connected,
cool, isn't it?
It is a prequel.
Yeah.
It's not a prequel in the sense that you think. It just takes place.
Nope.
While Gordon is in stasis.
Within 5 seconds, you can tell that they intend you to play this one after the other games. Yeah. It's
like, do you remember Eli Vance? Do you remember
MGS3? MGS3 is a prequel, but you're supposed to play that after the other games too. No, and also like, yeah, I think you just haven't gotten there, Liam. Yeah,
probably not.
There's
so
stuff.
far,
there's stuff.
Yeah, so far it is a lot of quiet walking, and then sometimes you get the wonderful break where you have Rhys Darby, one of the best New Zealand comedians in the world, talking
that's
to you.
The accent?
Yeah, he's from Flight of the Conchords. Rhys Darby, he's amazing.
Oh my god! Like I feel like you mention it at least every 3 months.
Because he's amazing.
Like every 3 months.
He's great, and he's great in this, and it's finally out, so everybody can know how great he is. Shut up.
But yeah, just from like 5 minutes in and on, I've been insanely impressed by the texture work, especially.
Until you get face up in it, and then you're like, yes, cardboard.
It's hard to tell. Well, you're also playing on low, but they're not like UE Engine 1 detail textures.
No, but they're easily the best VR game. Like when you hold a model like of a dead Combine soldier or a person, you are like, holy shit, this is pretty freaky. And they like punch its head, and you're like, yeah, fuck you.
It also, pro tip, feel around the bodies for ammo. Sometimes flip them over, check the shoulder pouches.
Yes.
It feels real cool. And sometimes there actually is ammo on those corpses and stuff. Anyways, texture work. Texture work is fucking phenomenal in this game. Like, I've seen very few walls of repeating texture patterns. I've seen, like, unique trash and clutter and posters. There's little bits of peeled paint over all the walls, and it's placed in a way where everything looks big and chunky and solid and grabbable and tactile. And how does the art style and scale look to you, Liam? I don't know if it's just
the scale is incredible to me.
No matter how I adjust it, it feels like everything looks a little jumbo size.
Yes,
but I think that's intended.
It does feel like Alyx is suffering from some form of dwarfism. Not in her height, but in the fact that everybody you're looking at is massive. It's like if your head was right here.
Like she has a wall small face. She's a normal person. Her face is just shrunk down.
It does feel like she's looking at everything with a magnifying glass. Like when you're holding a soldier, like a Combine soldier's body in front of you, and if you were to hold a real person in front of you at that distance, they would not accurately be the same size. Like everything does look bigger. But the scale of the world, though, like the buildings and like the rooms, all that scale feels really good. Like really, really good. It's quite smart.
And I also want to rave about the tactile sensations of running your hands through cabinets and stuff. How when you first make contact with whatever's in a cabinet, the weightless items will slap out of the way of your hands, but you still feel a little rumble in the place as you go through it. It's such a cerebral experience reaching your hand out and touching the stuff in a video game and actually feeling some kind of feedback and response.
It is like that most of the time, but like sometimes when I feel like I want to run my hand over something to try and feel for an object or something that's on top of like a cupboard or something, or try and open some things, either the hand will automatically grip it to help you, or it'll clip through it, and you kind of have to like shake it about and wiggle it a bit, and it does disconnect me a little bit. So I tend to purposely take it slow, so then it does always feel real when I do it.
Yeah. Pro tip, you should be rifling through cabinets, but you don't have to grab everything on the cabinet. Sometimes it's a lot faster and easier to just shove your hand through until there's only the ammo left, and then start grabbing with your hand when the other items just popped out of the way. It's eye-opening how many tricks and how careful their gameplay was for the trailers too for that stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't had a moment where I shuffle through the cabinet, pick out the shell, and put it straight in the gun. My muscle memory still has me always putting it behind my shoulder into the inventory, but if you go back and look at those trailers, you can see her conscientiously knock other things out of the way before grabbing the shell.
Yeah, so I don't really do much of that, but I did start trying like with the gun to like, because when you move stuff, usually like barrels and stuff, it clips on other objects and it feels like it gets dragged behind you a little bit.
Oh, you don't have a body that it clips through either. That's real smart too. Alyx is literally just a floating pair of hands and a camera.
It is a great game, and people should play it if they have a VR headset. It's easily, even me, like who's only had limited VR experience, like it is easily the best VR game, right? Like the gravity gloves are
The
so
quality
good.
is on a scale that no other title can match.
The shooting
like-
is like mediocre. It's whatever, right? But
It's fine.
yeah, but that's all it is. It's fine, right? But everything
It's exactly
else,
what it needs to be. I've read some criticisms about it, but like Half-Life has never had that complex of a combat model to begin with. It's about the mix of puzzles and combats and how they're paced through a story.
it definitely sets up some encounters that just terrified me. That I panicked and was like, as soon as I did it, I was like,
I had a real good one of those last night. Don't want to say too much, but you are in for more of that and quite a treat.
I'm gonna try and play some
all
more.
I'll
That's
say
for sure.
is get in the Resident Evil mood.
No,
Start thinking of
no.
no. It's fine though, because then you'll start thinking about what to do with the physics items instead of ammo. Like I'm leaving some enemies alive and barricading them behind doors and locking them in closets and actually doing tricks that require fast, speedy interaction with the VR exclusive features. It's Half-Life reimagined as a VR game with more Resident Evil style rules and combat design to accommodate for how much slower and more scared the player is probably going to be throughout the experience. And I think that works incredibly well for the brand and fantastically well for this video game. I'm in a honeymoon phase right now. I made that Super Mario 64 comparison, and that's a feeling I've been searching after for years. I thought it would never happen again, you guys. But the Super Mario 64 feeling happened again.
I disagree on that strength of it, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean, George. It's definitely not like anything else. People should play it. But I want to talk about the game I've been playing more than anything this week.
Is it Doom?
No, is it fuck?
Oh no, it's not Doom.
I played Doom, and I've played like a good 2 hours or so of Doom. I'm enjoying it, but I just have the same issues I had with the 2016 one. Your vision is always cluttered. It's so cluttered. But I'm enjoying the power-ups and everything. It's really good in terms of making the player feel powerful. It's like a 7 out of 10 for me. I'm gonna finish it. I like playing it. It's good to shoot some shit, but it's not the best shooter in the world to me. That's fine. But oh baby, we talked about VR for an hour now. Strap yourself in, boys. Strap yourself in. I have played about 20 hours of Animal Crossing in 5 days. And for me, that is like a year record. I have played...
Is that 5 hours a day?
That is
pretty chunky.
That is pretty chunky.
Hardy.
I have been playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. And I am absolutely loving the goddamn shit out of it. It is cliche to say it is the best COVID-19 isolation game, but it is the best isolation game. It is the biggest form of escapism that is so honest and so sweet and just so heart on its sleeve adorable that, man, I can't, but I don't know. I've just had such a great time playing it. I was always sweet on the Animal Crossing series. I enjoy aesthetically and musically more than I enjoy the gameplay mechanics. I always felt you had to sort of just do.
I was a little worried about that, but Animal Crossing on the Switch is a recipe that I think you'd be like hard to screw up.
They have done only further improvements upon what already was a pretty good formula, which I think is the bottom line with this game. This island feeling always gives you good, positive vibes. You just feel nice. It's great to have your own space that you modify, and it's not Minecraft, so it's almost unlimited, where you feel like you're daunted by the scale of things. It's not Stardew Valley, where you have to do 1,000 jobs before you do anything. It's like this perfectly sized island that you can walk from left to right within like 3 minutes, and you can just completely arrange it how you want personally, and like to grow stuff, to decorate stuff, to craft stuff. It's so perfectly well paced if you play it without time traveling like a dirty bastard. It is... I'm absolutely in love with this game. I don't know why. It's just on the Switch. It's perfect. It is probably the most fun I've had. Obviously, outside of Alyx, they're completely two different things. But, man, you guys... You should play it.
What about it makes you like excited? Like I don't know. Like it just seems like more of the same. I played a bit of New Leaf.
It is definitely. If you don't like Animal Crossing, you're not gonna like this. But if you like, or even have a slight inkling to being like, I think I'd like Animal Crossing. I could be interested in that. Especially if you like Stardew Valley. If you like Stardew Valley, you're gonna love this game. It just does so many smarter things than the other game. It still has problems, like in terms of like it can be slow. You have to talk to people repeatedly and all slow menus and stuff. But there's a lot that's been expedited to speed up the process. When you press Y to pick the shit up, it's like almost immediate, and then you can do it again and do it again. Yeah,
Suck it up.
It's good like that, and the way things are compared to like creating your own city and stuff. Or your own town, I should say. It's, I don't know, it feels like there's like this other element to it. This almost like, not a farming element, but the idea that you can craft and terraform the island to how you wish. It is like making you just...
What is... Hang on. What is this about terraforming
in
an Animal Crossing game?
You can terraform your own island. You can, like, break things down.
You're God now?
Not God, but you go around with a shovel and you push dirt into the rivers to block them off, and then you can build bridges.
To spread the 7 rivers out of the gardens of the earth.
And if you're playing normally, like from day to day, there is only so much you can do in one playthrough. This is not a game you play, like, even though I've said I've played for 20 hours, but there is like a limit to how much you can do in a day before it gets repetitive. That does take like a good 2 to 3 hours before you reach that wall where, I have to wait until tomorrow. But if you do all your stuff, you pay off your loan, you harvest some crops, some fruit trees, and you plant the things, when you wake up the next morning and check it, it's changed. It's like it is teaching you that, patience is a virtue. Like, I'm going to plant all these trees, and, you're like, I want to see my orchid grow, or my garden grow. And then after like an hour, they look the same. You've been running past them and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, oh damn. Then, it's going to be a while before they change. But then you'll forget, and then you'll go to bed, and you wake up the next day, and then boom! They've sprouted, and everything's changing. The island is becoming something different from what it was yesterday. Or a new villager has arrived on the island that you've never met before. Or the museum has just opened, and you can go explore the museum that you didn't have yesterday. Like, every day, depending on what you did the day before, it changes. And there's always, like, something new to check out. It's not like a gacha game where you just sign in every day and get daily bonuses or something, but literally like the characters and the environment and the way the ecosystem works changes depending on what time of day it is, what day it is, what did you do yesterday, is it raining, is it sunny, and just all of those things can bring a weird mix of excitement. It's not a game that throws stuff at you very quickly, but when you go to a random island to, find materials, and you find a fruit that you've never seen before, you're like, oh shit, pears! And it's just, I don't know, it doles out things at a perfect pace that just make you feel very rewarded.
I am excited, but I am coming into it with expectations that there are going to be a lot more activities than just the rudimentary fetch questing for villagers, I remember, kind of boarding me out of the GameCube version.
I have
On the other
not
hand,
done any fetch quests so
yeah,
far.
the series has been around for so long since then that I'm sure there's so many more activities to do nowadays compared to when I last left off, but I still had enough fun to when I last left off with these games that I actually think this, more so than Fire Emblem and Pokemon, this might be my next Switch purchase.
Honestly, I'm playing with 3 people right now in the Q Games office who have never played Animal Crossing and had no interest, but they caught on because everybody else was playing it, and they are having the time of their lives. And that's because they're doing all the stuff by themselves. When we get together to play multiplayer, which in this game is still hit and miss sometimes, like when you get it working and everybody's connected, and even though it takes for fucking ever for people to get together in one island because you have to wait for everybody individually to turn up, which is the dumbest shit. Stop fucking online, Nintendo. You're terrible at it. Get better. Hire somebody. I don't know. But when you finally get everybody together on an island and everybody's either fishing together or they're running around digging holes or placing art and people are trading stuff and sharing stuff, I don't know. There's something so sweet and delightful about it. You go to somebody's island and then it is like a reflection of their personality. It's not like Stardew Valley or Minecraft where, yeah, you go there and you're like, oh yeah, this is a pretty neat house, cool, good job. But because there is just so much content and custom designs and items you can buy and stuff you can craft, that everybody's house or everybody's plot of land is wildly different from other players.
In terms of goal-driven, progressive gameplay objectives, what sort of activities do they have you doing these days?
So it's a mix.
I remember like being a little disappointed with how the GameCube version kind of just boiled down to doing fetch quests for your villagers.
Well, that was because you wanted to earn money to pay your loan off, which was all you could do, right? But this game is a case of there are 2 different currencies now. There is the bells of traditionally, which you use to pay your loans off, but there is this thing called Nook Miles.
Oh, he has his own currency.
He has his own currency, which is like a loyalty points thing.
That bastard.
But it's based on like tiny little, you know when you go to like Starbucks and they give you like a what are they called? Like a
rewards card?
Like a rewards card where, you know, if you buy 10 drinks, you get like a free drink or something, right?
Yeah.
He basically has that where you do the normal stuff you'd be doing, like picking up apples, planting peaches, or fishing for certain fish, or catching bugs, and he will stamp it. And you'll get mileage back for that, which you can then use to buy stuff or to, help expand the island or open up new things or expand your inventory and stuff. So stuff.
But not pay your debt?
It does in the beginning, but then you can earn bells. But it's great because there is not this conflict of, do I spend my bells on all of this nice stuff?
Oh, okay.
Do I spend my bells on all of this nice stuff? And then I have to wait longer to pay my loan off, which stops the progression of building my house? Or do I keep saving my bells and keep a small little bit of pocket money for me to spend on the other stuff you can buy with bells, but the majority of it is going to the loan? Or I can use the Nook Miles. It does.
It steers you towards playing with the more fun stuff. Than
it's definitely more balanced. And this game is not like go up to villages and they're like, hey, can you bring me 5 pieces of fruit like I need and I'll give you some money? It's not like that. Like, I think I've only had 1 request from a villager, and all the rest of the time is like, hey, it'd be pretty cool if we had a wooden stereo system and you can put it in your house. How about I teach you how to make it?
Very 80s.
And then they'll teach you how to make it, and then it'll be like, okay, you need 5 pieces of wood and an iron nugget. Off you go. Go find that. I don't know where that is. You go do that. And you're like, do you know what? It would be really cool if I did have a wooden block stereo in my apartment. That would be nice. And then you're going into the forest and you're like chopping trees down and you're just having the time of your life. And it's always kind of like luck of the draw, whether you'll get like an iron nugget from a stone, and you just go around having a gleeful time. it's not going to convince you if you don't like Animal Crossing, but I think if you've had an inkling to like it before and you're looking for something that right now is just wholesomely positive, like I cannot stress how positive this game is. There is no negative connotations whatsoever. Like, you can't do anything wrong. Everybody praises you. It's almost always sunny. And it's a deserted tropical island. If you wanted to escape from the world's woes right now, there is nothing better, I think, other than strapping a headset on your head and completely hiding yourself from the world. But there is almost nothing you can do better than just fucking off in Animal Crossing to an island. And if anybody who follows games jumps on Twitter right now, you will see why. There are thousands and thousands of posts of people like how their rooms look, all of the custom designs they're doing, like stuff where they've set up where it looks like they've murdered villagers and there's this police chase. It's so weird and beautiful. It is like this weird... It's almost kind of like VR chat, but in a Nintendo game. It's odd.
Where like Kermit the Frog talks about how he missed taking his antidepressants this morning.
Yeah. It's so good. Like, seriously, just type Animal Crossing on Twitter and just scroll through some of the posts and have a look, and you'll be like, okay, this game seems pretty rad. It's a wonderful experience.
A big reason I think I'm so fascinated with it right now is specifically the thought of seeing that cuteness and positivity specifically in my bed while cuddling up with pillows and stuff. Yes. Honestly, do it. Like, I can't wait for us to fucking finish this episode so I can go do that from bed. I don't know what it is. Like, it is from the music to the way the islands look to just the feeling. Like, sometimes I'll open it up and I'll be like, oh, I don't want to like chop down 10 trees. But then I'll go and chop the first tree down and I'll be like, ah. And I'll be like, trying along with my axe, like, do 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 do, and just having a great time. I don't know. It's not going to make you a fan, but if you already enjoyed it, or you already enjoy games like Stardew Valley and stuff, like, you're going to really like this game, I think. It's so wholesome. It's wonderful. So, Matt, you okay back there?
Yeah.
Not your thing, Matt? Not your thing?
Animal Crossing? No. I played New Leaf, tried to get into it, try to understand why people like it. Didn't understand. It's the same thing when I played Stardew Valley. It's just like, I just lose steam.
Like Stardew Valley.
I didn't until I played it on the Switch in the warm and cuddly in bed. That makes all the difference in the world to me these days.
Repeat like the same thing over and over again. And this is coming from a guy who grinds in MMOs. Well,
see, I hate that kind of stuff. I have no patience for that. And also, the reason I didn't like Stardew Valley is because it felt like you weren't making a farm. It felt like you were mid-maxing some sort of manufacturing produce thing. Yeah. You had to, treat it like it was a video game. Whereas in Animal Crossing, it's like, you can just plant a tree in the middle of a field, and that's it. It'll be happy with you. It treats you like almost like a child in its sense that there's no punishment for anything. You're not trying to gain anything other than just making your own island look pretty. There's literally nothing to it. It's so forgiving compared to other games like Stardew Valley and stuff like that.
Can you jack into anything?
I mean, George will find a way.
Is there an animal friend named Jack who could serve as a delivery method for the pun?
That might do. There are like, what, 70 villages? I only have 3.
Like Jack. No?
If there's an animal friend named Jack, then I'm sure people have jacked to Jack.
Oops.
For some reason, the, like, horny Animal Crossing fans, they make sure everyone else knows who their favorite neighbors are.
The best is Sheldon. Sheldon! Rep up my boy
turtle?
Sheldon.
Want to say turtle?
No, he's a squirrel.
Yeah, well, shows what I know about Animal Crossing. Yeah, last I played it, I was like 13. We were invading Iraq.
Well, now is the perfect time to play it because you're what? Still 13 in your mind, and also now the world is suffering from a pandemic.
And maybe we'll be invading Iran this time.
Hell. No. Let's don't do
So,
that.
Speaking of cute, fun animal friends with big heads who live on an idyllic, isolated geographical feature.
Where is he going with this one?
I got around to playing a short hike.
Good boy.
So did I.
It turned out it was only like 2 hours. Anyways,
a short hike.
Was it only 2 hours, or did you just race through the game? I had a million gold feathers. But yeah.
I felt a little guilty when I flew past some of the animal friends who I didn't meet on the way down.
Yeah, I went around that whole island for some reason.
I want to say I ended it with 9 or 10 golden feathers. I tried, but there was a painter lady I saw through a binocular I couldn't find. And then when I flew back home at the end, I was just like, holy shit, there's a lot I need to go do.
Yeah, I just came from beating Ori, so I was already in the mode of collecting every single feather I can find. Even the douchebag who bought all the feathers and were selling.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
I was looking for a way to not buy his feathers, but I was just like, fuck it. I have so much money. A short hike
is a non-violent exploration game with some kind of crunchy, fun movement mechanics. But as of someone who only played it for like a couple hours last night, I do find it hard to articulate why I did find it so cute and compelling and fun. But you know, Leah, you're the IGF judge who helped contribute to this game being the IGF winner. So
big timer.
Yeah, how do you
big time fuck you
when it's up against other nominees like Untitled Goose Game and Slay the Spire? What are your justifications for picking this one over?
It's weird, right? So obviously there's different categories for the IGF, and games like Slay the Spire easily win best design for me for that year. But in terms of overall best
the Seamus
game,
McNally,
the game that spiritually is the most best indie experience is a short hike to me.
That's what it's about.
No, this is me, right? Untitled Goose Game, for as indie as it is an indie game, and it going up against Death Stranding and stuff like that for like best game of the year is incredible in its own right. But it is not one man and like some contributing contractors to help music and stuff. It is not one man making a short game as a side project from his other game, where he just makes this beautiful 2 to 3 hour piece for the fun of it. It's what like making games feels like. Like the best way I can describe why a short hike is incredible is not only from like my own personal view, but it's from Matt messaging me in Discord saying, dude, I want to like prototype some shit now. I want to like get open Unity and make some games and stuff.
Yeah.
Because of this game.
That's fascinating.
It's just
like
such
the game starts out. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Liam.
No, absolutely. I'm probably going to say the same thing as you. Go ahead, man.
Like the game starts out like you're like, okay, this is whatever. This is like, I don't know, like you're just walking around, and then there's something about it that's like, like you talk to the people, and the writing is, it's not that it's good, it's like realistic. It's
personality though, right? Like I said, it was hard to articulate why it's compelling, and that's because there's like no combat really. There's no fascinating movement mechanics, but the way that the camera system works, the visual art style for it, the dialogue, there's so much personality to it. It feels raw and honest, and I think that's what was giving me the tingles throughout it. And that's so fascinating that Liam, what you saw in this game was like an expression of someone dicking around with game developer tools. And this is a game that you really only hear about at the Game Developers IGF Choice Awards, right? It's popular with game developers, so...
I agree that it is, in a way, a game developer's game.
Yeah.
I do agree. But then it came out for free on the Epic Game Store. And then all I saw was like a whole bunch of people who would never have played it, play it, and be like, Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why people like that game.
Yeah.
Ooh, I got one. There's no like violence, right? But now that I think back on it retroactively, there was like a conflict with the camera system that I thought was kind of cute and fun. And that is like basically wrestling the camera and your flying angle over to try to get to whatever cool fun. Like there's still an obstacle to
me,
overcome.
this game had better flying camera, weird perspective angles than Super Mario Galaxy. Like, it feels tight. Like, tight. Like,
Well,
how did he do
see
it
where
tight?
you're going. You have to think about it and like use some relativity for what you've seen before at different camera angles and piece together a spatial puzzle a bit.
And that goes back to
brain.
why, like, half of why I voted it as the grand prize at IGF, and also why I just love it as a game. Like, obviously, from a design standpoint, that mountain is fucking amazing.
I
Yeah.
gotta say I agree. Like especially over Goose Game. I played Goose Game too.
I
Goose Game is
thought Goose
fun,
Game was
but
kinda
like short hike.
frustrating.
I mean, like there's so many little areas on that mountain, so many different things to do.
It reminded me of a Breath of the Wild mountain.
It is amazing. Like, as Matt was saying, like, it's so intersected, like, where it goes under and over, and it doesn't fully reveal itself until you jump off it and fly around it a little bit and, like, take what is, pun intended, a leap of faith to find out more about it. Like, you're trying to find more golden feathers or trying to find more people to talk to, but the best way to do it is to just jump off and fly down and go over what you've already tracked.
I think mostly what's so attractive about it is what I was saying before, when you were talking to people, like when you went up to the painter or one of the painters, there's like two of them, and they're like, oh, what do you think? And you're like, I mean, I like it. It's cool. She's like, it's not done yet. Like it's just like so many human interactions.
Oh god,
like
yeah.
That. The guy who you have to race around the mountain a lot. You know, like it just seems like a realistic character. It seems like it's like someone typing to you over the internet. You know, it reminds me a little bit of like Firewatch, you know?
A lot of the dialogue is like just what we would type to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's basic. I wouldn't say it's like some deep stuff, but it like it works. Like you feel it. You feel the world.
And
Feel the tingles.
I think that's the thing, right? Like, as you said, it works. Like, it just works. It's not cheesy. It's not cringeworthy. Like some games who try to... Like, I can't, for the life of me, stand the dialogue in Life is Strange. But it is borderline the same. And it is like one way or the other. You flip into the cringe territory, or... You know, you're
on that line a lot.
You're on the line where, oh shit, this just feels like somebody talking to me who understands the age I am, the way I've grown up. Like my favorite bit is the fishing bit. It's my favorite bit. It's amazing.
I got to it. I was like, oh, this is the part Liam was talking about. It's like, wait. He's like, well, I'm very impatient though. Like, wait.
It's so great.
And then he's like so like the old guy's just like calm or whatever, just like an regular old guy. He's like, yeah, he like barely says anything when you catch the fish.
Just wait.
Just like, yeah. So, yeah, there you go.
It is.
So what do I do with this rod? Like, well, you can catch more fish. That's it. Reminds me of my friend's dad. My friend's dad is like super just chill, and he fishes. He just like just relaxes and fishes. Like, it's just like these characters, like you can believe that they exist. Oh my god,
you can.
That game was good, man. That game was good.
I'm really like happy at the moment. Like, getting to gush about Half-Life Alyx and also Animal Crossing and a Short Hike. It is
What is the deal? Why are video games good right now?
Right now it is what we need, and it's weird because like there is a balance between what is right now the essential to life. Like, you know, isolation. What do we close down? What do we open? Like, do we keep banks open? Do we keep supermarkets open? Like, what do we do in a time like we're living in now? Something none of us anybody who's listened to this have experienced before, probably. And it's weird to think that we're in a weird position where one of our favorite things, like the thing we've dedicated so much of our time to across our lives and what we're inspired by, literally is helping people get through a global crisis. And it's because of games like Animal Crossing and A Short Hike and Half-Life that you're like,
and
this ain't so
Doom.
bad. And Doom as well.
Yeah, let out your rage against the machine when playing Doom. Okay, that begs a question about today's podcast format. Do we have time for Liam to talk about Doom?
I've already said what I've said about Doom. It's fine. Like, it is a 7 out of 10 to me. If you like the first Doom, you probably will. You won't like this one.
I think okay.
I said this directly
Liam.
to the Doom man himself. Danny.
Doom man Danny Dwyer.
Danny
He'll
O'Dwyer.
forever remember
Danny the
me as
Doom
that
man
guy
Dwyer.
who did not like Doom on the podcast.
Okay, as I'm with you, right? And we're weirdos. We're not the normal people. Everyone else loved that game.
Yeah.
But I've heard that this one, my interest in this one was not that high up until I started seeing some GIFs come out after the game came out. I have seen gameplay of Doom Eternal and descriptions of gameplay that show that they've gone full hard into the concept of making a first-person platinum character action game. There's like short dashes and style points that you might be able to rack up with changing weapons quickly using hotkeys.
It's not even close.
Really?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
No. It is.
I want it to be that.
It is.
I want it to be that.
It is Quake. It's just Quake, but in really high definition, like Doom. It's the movement of Quake, the dashing from side to side, the strafing, don't stop moving. It is nothing like the finesse of an action character game. It is gritty and raw, and you get fucked in fucking dumb ways because, and this is my biggest problem. I don't want to shit on Doom. It is a fun game. It is.
Please.
But when you're playing a game where it's a shooter and the 20% of your screen is covered by your big ass gun, and then 80% of the rest of the time is the arms and legs of demons because they're always right up in your face because they have like magnets and they just chase you around. It is frustrating because your vision... The game goes on about something special about it, which is the weak points. Every demon has a weak point. Like, you can shoot its like turret and it'll stop being able to attack you and stuff like that. And that is really good. And when you hit those things, it feels satisfying, like you've picked out the weakness and you have injured it to the point where you can almost kill it and then melee it, and it feels great. But the problem is 80% of the time you cannot see any of the weak points because either you're moving too fast, because if you don't stop moving, you'll die. So your vision is always motion blurred. Or if you do stop for 5 seconds, the whole screen is filled with demon torsos and legs and arms because they all have melee attacks for the most part. So they're all coming towards you. There is just like a vision issue in Doom where I barely see what the environment looks like. So I have no picture in my head of where I can jump, where I can move to. It is like... literally dash and pray that I don't fall off the edge. That's how it feels all the time. And I don't like that. Because I die cheaply and it feels frustrating.
Okay.
It is fun. Like there are elements. It's really hard because like the first hour I played, I was like, fuck this. But then as soon as I got the dash and the grappling hook, I was like, okay, fuck yeah, this is pretty cool. But then, you know, it introduces new enemies who are even tougher, who are even more, quote, bullshit. That you're like, right, yeah, I don't actually feel like I'm getting better. It's giving me tools that help me just defeat bigger enemies.
What about the humor and the style, though? I've also heard that this one has like a lot campier and funnier and does crazy things with the lore that the previous game didn't.
There's cutscenes. There's cutscenes, and I have no idea what's happening in them. Like, the Doomslayer doesn't talk, but he seems to come from some form of super race. I don't know. Is he human? I don't know. But it is, when the soundtrack gets going, like, it is good. Like, you feel it in your bones. When Mick Gordon's, like, slamming on his 12-string guitar, you're like, fuck yeah, this is pretty cool.
I remember one of the things about the 2016 game was I had reviewers OCD at the time, so I was reading every audio log and every bit of flavor text, and eventually at some point, laughing at the Doom guy smashing a console, giving him exposition text just doesn't hold up to the hours upon hours of far more serious concerns over the use of argent energy. What was it?
I don't know, but it doesn't take itself too seriously, and I think that's a good thing.
Like the way I've heard about it is it sounds like they've done things that would appeal to someone who didn't like the last game as much.
They've definitely tried, but they've leaned more, I think, into people really like Doom's 2016 for good reason. But there are some people who just obsessed over it, right? It became like a really surprised hit. Yeah, and they've leaned into that, and they're like, oh yeah, Doom is a mood. Let's go with that. Like,
I was looking forward to getting into it soon, but now I might wait until it's cheaper. But I'm still want to see what it's like when a Western developer tries to make an FPS Platinum game.
So are you still like searching for key cards half the time? Are the stages still very, very long?
The stages are long. They're at least like 30 minutes for the most part.
You can just search around for key cards.
No, there's less of that. The maps are really quite big now. Like, it doesn't feel like you're trapped in a room and you just have to slay waves of demons. No,
okay.
There are open. There are quite open maps now. The problem is, like, for me, for as long as I played so far, everything has a cliff, like a falling off platform or an edge. So you just fall off a lot of the time because you're like strafing about and dashing and you can't really see where you're going, and then all of a sudden you're falling into lava and you're like, right, okay. So it's not that big. It's not extensively big, but it definitely feels like, you know how God of War had those spaces where you did know something was coming, but it was big enough that you could maneuver around and like you could extensively move from one side to the other, and it would take, a relative distance of time, but it didn't feel like you were in a room. Doom kind of has that same thing going for it.
Okay, Doom.
I mean, it looks good. It looks very good. It's very pretty when you get to stop for a second. And then you have to move really quickly. But if you enjoy it, like, all power to you. It's just personally not that strong for me.
Yeah, I probably won't play it or beat it.
I'm wondering if we should just go straight to listener questions this week.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked for an hour and a half so far about wonderful video games. No point doing negative news. Let's be positive.
This is a week where there have been so many big releases that have garnered so much praise and discussion. And the news stories is related to that. Like, I feel like we shouldn't talk about this non-VR stuff for Half-Life Alyx until Matt maybe can weigh in more. And we have really good questions this time. Like, you guys cool with that?
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. We're going to answer some questions from some listeners that sent them in to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to ask us questions or send us comments and suggestions, please send them to dadandsonspodcast@gmail.com. First up is from Kitty. What is the opinion of the Dad and the Sons on visual novels? Are they games? Are they not? And where is the line drawn between that?
Ooh. Okay. First of all, have you guys played visual novels?
I've played 3, maybe.
What kind? What are we talking about, Liam? You're in Japan.
Danganronpa.
You're in Japan? What is that supposed to mean?
What do you mean? Liam knows what I mean. There's
I know what he means.
section of visual
I don't know what he means.
Oh, yeah, that section of the store is in Japan.
I've played Danganronpa, which I really enjoyed, which is not a visual novel like Hattie Your Boyfriend is, which I have also played a little bit of, and Doki Doki Literature Club. If you count that, because that is
why not?
different. Yeah.
I don't.
That's like Undertale, the visual novel.
Yeah, see, I don't see why you couldn't consider either of them a visual novel, nor the other way around.
I think when we look at the person's question, I think maybe it's talking about more traditional ones, like romance visual novels and stuff like that, like the more cut and dry. Not the outstanding ones like Danganronpa.
Even then, so long as you can make a choice and affect the outcome, that's all you really need, right?
If it's on Steam, it's a game.
I've never been a fan of limiting the definition of games.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah, I don't really care.
They're games. I agree. There are games.
Yeah.
But Matt's question was, have you played a visual novel? And they're the only examples I can give.
I've played a couple. I remember mentioning this a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember you talking about like quite a few, right?
The something has eyes, or my heart has eyes, or something like that. It was like this plain one, or this pilot. My heart has wings, or something. My heart with wings. It's someone knows. If my heart had wings, I've played that. I played that all the way to the end.
And how was it?
It was fine. Like the thing is with these visual novels, they're like the story is like really good. It's like interesting. I don't know. It's interesting to hear how. Oh, nudity. What? Oh, I missed out. Yeah, like. Yeah, like
playing the wrong
this is way
version?
back because like back then Steam didn't have like the regular, like you couldn't just like put on like a visual novel with like some nudity in it. Like it was just like a clean
they're
version.
beyond some nudity. I mean, Steam you can have full penetration on Steam now.
Now you can, yeah. Before it was just like but yeah, like it's interesting to see a Japanese view on like, I don't know, like not storytelling, but just like how normal things play out. You know, like this one is about a school and like learning the guy wanting to be a pilot and stuff. They're in like this pilot class club thing, and it's just very interesting to see that different view. But yeah, I guess that's not the question. The question is the game. Like, I think it's a game. You make choices, and like the whole game changes depending on your choices. But I also don't care about walking simulators are not a game or anything like that.
Yeah, no, really fuck care. That. Come on.
I never. Makes me so
weird. If David Cage is calling his games, anything's a game.
Okay, a game. Actually, I like that you framed it like that, Matt. The discussion over whether or not this shit that blurs the line and spawns arguments over whether or not it's a game, that is an argument in my mind that's just one step removed from console war discussion. Like it strikes me as childish.
Agreed. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like to say something like Dream Daddy, which had an incredible impact upon like, the video game sphere about how everybody looks at visual novels and the success of those kind of things. Obviously, it had some help being associated with the Game Grumps and whatnot. But then to compare that to, Doom and be like, one is not more of a game than the other. They are games, and both have been impactful upon people who play games. It's totally fine.
Like with you brought up Doki Doki Literature Club, which requires you to go into your program files and delete stuff sometimes. That's definitely a level of interaction you do not get with any other medium. That's absolutely should qualify it. On top of, the whole choose your own adventure stuff that they all tend to have anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's weird that we still do stuff like this. Where people, just let people, if it's not for you, just don't play it.
Yeah.
It's like visual novels. Even within visual novels, there's a spectrum, right? You have romance novels, you have hentai novels, you have
Wait, anti-novels?
Hentai novels.
Oh, sorry. For a second, I thought you said anti-novels.
You're-
There was some weird Pomo art movement going on.
But then, like in Japan, you have otome games, which are literally visual novels specifically catered to, shoujo women who want to
girl
fantasize
girl
about meeting
gamers.
handsome emperor men and whatnot. There's a whole spectrum within that itself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always a great and weird sensation whenever I saw like the girl game sections in Japanese game stores. Like as rampant as sexism still is, it's still weird seeing like another universe where video games didn't become as gendered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like visual novels have, for some reason, been gendered towards females predominantly. I don't know why. I mean, people read books, right? Whether you're male or female.
Yeah.
This is just book form video games, right? So, I don't know.
It's because there's no masculine aggressive violence.
It's funny.
Danganronpa would say different.
Oh yeah, true.
It's funny because like
Also- sorry, Matt, go
the
ahead.
women I've met, the reason why they're not into games is because they just never played when they were young, because they just assumed that it was like a kind of like a guy thing.
Yes. That is
And
definitely still...
I constantly hear that because they find out
Yeah.
I'm a nerd, and I always ask.
And
like,
then that's when the dates go south.
yeah, and then in most no, of course not.
Sandbagged that one.
And they usually say the people who have played games is usually because of their brother. So it's just like, that's so weird to me.
Yep, I've heard that story a lot too.
But, like, for anybody who is like, yeah, well, fuck you, like, girls don't know anything about games. Literally 10 years from now, like, all of the
kidding me?
girls who are playing games now will be the same as
Yeah,
you.
there'll be this.
So-
there's plenty. I've met
You-
plenty.
Yeah.
It actually surprised me growing up when discovering that, because it was a cousin of mine who was a girl that handed me down her NES and got me into games in the first place. So when I like grew up to discover that the stereotypes were as sexist as they are and that the sexism was as rampant as it is, it genuinely took me off guard. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then later it...
Also, to
a lot
put,
of
like,
friends in
to
high school
just...
that play games.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, some of the best friends I met in university were females who played games, and we played League of Legends together and stuff like that.
Watched anime, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please,
And,
just... Games are for everybody. Like, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Come on.
If
You're a
this is
if you're a
common
male
sense, right?
who likes, like, otome games as well, fuck yeah, all the power to you, man.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Japan, there's like entire genres of games for girls growing up and influential women in various roles all throughout the industry.
Japan is
and-
not the country to look at for sex equality. Let's put it that
I know.
way.
I just feel like when it comes to the bubble of the video game world, there's a little more of it there than we grew up with.
Yeah,
here.
but like you look at Animal Crossing, and then Animal Crossing, like all of the adverts are in Japan are orientated towards females.
Exactly. I feel like there's not an equivalent franchise for that in the West outside of, I don't know. Can you imagine an equivalent franchise for that by a Western developer?
Nope,
Yeah.
not right now.
Stardew, maybe?
I mean,
but
yeah.
even then, like,
Harvest
Animal
Moon.
Crossing's still made by a woman, and that one was made by a man. Anyways.
Well, Animal Crossing is directed by a woman now.
Directed.
Yeah, it was made by Iguchi, the guy who made Star Fox.
No, was I just wrong? Was I just factually incorrect?
You were
on the
factually
Dadanson
incorrect. How
podcast?
could
Really?
you? This
Star
is
Fox guy?
yeah, Iguchi-san. Yeah.
So,
Oh wait! There was one thing I wanted to say about the visual novel thing. I don't want to continue it, but definitely drawing a line. They are games because imagine if 999 or
Yeah.
Virtue's Last Reward or either of those or the three games in that series were not games. No, those games are amazing. Fuck yeah.
999. I remember playing it.
So
I
good.
don't think I beat it.
I've never played those, but Danganronpa has, like, rhythm mini games and shit.
So
what
good.
kind of, totally for sure it really is a video game mechanics does 999 walk you through? Or is it just the complexity
puzzles,
of the branches?
complexity, and also it has puzzles and stuff like that. It is
Because I have seen a map of the different branches in those games, and they look like a spider web. Like, they look complicated as hell.
999. Whoa, can't put
Anyways.
that in separately. Oof.
crazy.
You guys want to move on?
Yeah.
Next question is from Eric B. And I like this one. This one makes me feel like an old man rather than a teenager on a troll forum. What's going to make gamers of the year 2050 say, yuck, that is so 2010s? In other words, which aspect of the last decade of gaming is going to age like a mullet cut? Damn good simile.
Loot boxes. Any advert that was like for Doritos and like Monster or whatever that came out during the Xbox 360 generation.
Do you think loot boxes are going to go away after the decade? Or I guess the decade is ending right now because it's 2020.
Picture Dr. Disrespect's face.
Oh my god.
Oh.
And then like Doritos in one hand and Monster in the other while screaming about getting a no-scope.
Ooh.
That is how I picture 2050 being like,
And she
we
knows
did that? Oh, damn.
Oh, shit.
and filming people peeing in bathrooms.
Do you guys think esports? Oh, okay. Yeah,
We
do you
went
guys
deep
think...
on that one.
I don't know if streamers were going to be a thing in the 2050s.
Oh,
do you guys
flossing.
think esports will last until the 2050s?
Yeah, because people are always going to be wanting to be... The fact that it now has the money, people are not going to stop wanting to be the best at video games. There just has to be the quality of games that we have now. StarCraft, League of Legends, Street Fighter, Counter-Strike, etc., etc. I don't think that's going to stop. But stuff like Ninja earning millions of dollars and then doing flosses and getting angry and screaming about losing on the internet, that is going to be when we look back in 10 years and we're like, oh, yeesh. Ooh.
Something that I think has kind of been going away in the past couple of years that was a big 2010s thing, I think, are Let's Plays. I wonder if future people are going to have a hard time understanding why we thought that was cool.
People still have a hard time now. You know,
Which
my roommate's like,
I think
why
is a
do people
testament
watch
it's
play
not
games?
going to last.
What are you doing? I don't get it.
And in the past 2 years, like the algorithm and viewer preferences have kind of steered away from that sort of content. It's all about you know, tying up the feminists in Red Dead Redemption on the railroad tracks. Watching YouTube in the 2020s is an act of like political consciousness. Watching YouTube in the 2010s was watching silly dumb people play video games in front of you.
I don't know specifically Let's Plays, but I can imagine like, you know, clips of like streamers when they're racist or they fire a gun off or something where they just do something involuntarily terrible because they're not great people, and we're just going to be like, how is it that we paid these people millions of dollars?
Right? Oh, you know what we're going to think is, whoa, we must have had a lot of extra money to throw around back then. Oh, those times must have been real good if they were making that much money doing that. Oh, the world must have been in a way.
Do you remember
better
when I
place
subscribed?
for
I
those jobs to
subscribed to
exist.
Ninja, and I got him to call out the fact that my floss was the best floss. Like I paid him $10 to say that.
Oh my gosh. Why? Did you clip it?
I have...
No, I'm not. It's just a joke. But that's the feeling.
Oh,
See,
I thought you were being
no,
That's
literal.
revealing.
no. This is the thing.
I was about like, yeah, no shame. I'd do the same thing
This
for
is the
$10.
thing, right? Like you instantly just thought it was the thing that happened because that's what people do when they're in like Twitch chat. Like
It sounded totally believable.
Yeah. I wanted the story behind it. I'm like, why, Liam? Why?
Okay, I'm also a little worried. As much fun as I am having with Half-Life Alyx, and as much of a benchmark and landmark as it is, I am a little worried that we're going to see some numbers that might be a little disappointing in the future about how much sales that thing will ultimately end up making. Which does have me worried that in the 2050s, people might look back at VR and think, it was always just too expensive and inaccessible. As much as it breaks my heart,
it is too
I don't want to
expensive.
envision that future.
It is too expensive and inaccessible. Actually no, inaccessible I think is wrong. I think there's
It used to be
plenty.
like $1 million to get into it.
But now it's like $1,000.
No, it's
Oh
not.
boy, what good progress it's made.
No, it's
I-
wait a minute. If coming from scratch, from complete scratch, all right, no computer, no nothing, right? If you don't have a computer, you probably at this point you're probably not wanting to get into VR anyway, and you probably should just get a Quest, right?
Yes.
So if you wanted to get back into it, let's say you can build a computer for less than $1,000, right? So I would say like let's see, $1,200-ish over time buying that. I guess I guess that's a lot.
In a post-corona economy?
Well,
But that's the point, right?
Well,
No.
for a
But
sec.
I think that's the thing is you've highlighted the one thing that is the strength about VR right now is the Quest exists.
Yes. It's because Oculus exists, really.
Question is 2050s. Will
Facebook.
things like the Quest manage to persist and
No,
break
it'll
into...
be something different. It'll be like, do you remember when we had these things on our head that are completely always strapped to our bodies and we only use them for video games?
That was so 2010.
Yes.
Do you remember when we only used these to play like Half-Life? How primitive.
It's gonna start like this.
Jeez.
Like the Oculus Quest is cheap compared to how it was now, and you don't even need a system for it. Eventually, something else is gonna come out that's gonna be even cheaper, then even cheaper, then even cheaper, and then you just gonna spend like a couple $100 for like something that we used to like spend $2,000 to do.
Well, one thing to consider when 2050 is 30 years away, right? And we're all like hovering around 30 years old, right?
We're gonna be jacked
We
into
know
the Matrix.
what that feels like. Half-Life 1 came out 22 years ago. And now we're playing Half-Life games in VR that we can reach out and touch with our hands. And the big innovation it made back then was that the AI people in the game could act out little scripted scenes. So 30 years from now is really quite hard to imagine because this is a science fiction concept we're exploring. Like this was science fiction in 1998.
Yeah, so much has changed since we've been born.
So in 30 years, the science fiction dystopian
God, it's
technology
scary.
that's the next step
Yeah,
is
that
like
is, right?
grafting things into your skin and stuff, like
Yeah.
going full wearable with whatever you see with your face. I seriously wonder if it'll all be on cell phones then. That does. There's a lot of scary things about what the world might be like in 2050. We'll be old.
I don't know. 60 is not that bad.
What kind of video games do you think we'll be into when we're in our 60s?
I'm looking forward to doing the same thing I'm doing right now, which is being older and also being like the chill fishing dude from a short hike and being like, yep, pandemic's happening. Yep, just gonna play VR. Yep.
I'm just gonna strap my helmet on, drink beer, and try not to think about how apocalyptic the world will be in 30 years.
But being like that, you know, when everybody's telling you to stay inside and stuff like that, and just being like the chill to be like, stay inside, it's okay. I'm gonna play video games, drink some beer, hang out by myself, just pass the time. Got some Animal Crossing trees to plant.
Did you guys see that picture of the dads drinking beer in the yard, but 6 feet away from each other?
Champions.
And then Mike Judge tweeted a picture of the King of the Hill adult men. Yeah, because they're not all dads drinking beer, but all spread out apart from each other on the background. Anyways.
Oh, I wanted to say, for the people out there during this coronavirus thing, if you listen to this far, man, like, stay in there, man. Hang in there,
Yeah.
guys.
Like,
Hang in there.
we've mentioned multiple times.
A lot of my friends and family have lost their jobs.
Yeah,
So-
and my auntie and my father have been sick. My auntie, who is in Australia, has tested positive for coronavirus, so that sucks. And my dad has the symptoms and has been sick all week, but the UK isn't testing anybody, and he can't get tested, so we don't know if he does or doesn't have it. But he's suffering. You know, he's feeling better every day and stuff, but it's a tough time, and if you're in isolation, you need to keep your mental health going. So just, you know, hang in there, listen to your favorite podcasts, play your favorite games, wash your hands.
Break down the fat.
Also, when all this is blown over, fight the fucking power.
What do you mean? The
I
government?
mean, take this shit to the street. All it takes is 2% of a population to hold a general strike, bring the economy to a halt like is happening, and get some demands met.
If anything, this has taught us we don't need incompetent government officials in any power. And the money and wealth of a country should be completely distributed between everybody to look after themselves in some way. Not that necessarily.
Well, after 3D printer food replicators become cheap, I don't think the people of the workers of the world are going to have much of a choice. It's whatever. Anyways.
For now, just wash your hands and stay inside. We'll talk about revolution later. That's like 20 episodes from now. We'll talk about revolution.
And ultimately, at the end of the whole process, this kind of situation in which it's such a guilty privilege of mine, right? This kind of situation where one can earn money inside of their house and earn okay money at that is something everyone should have. And that's why that's something that the majority of Americans are never gonna get unless they fight the power.
Talking about fighting the power.
There's gonna be protests after this, and you know I'll be in that crowd.
Yeah, because all these companies are saying it's okay, we won't cancel your stuff now, but we can set you up on payment plans after all this is over. Man, get the hell out of here, man. People are going to be in debt for years, man. So many people live paycheck to paycheck. Anyways, whatever. Yes, Liam has to go to sleep. So.
This kind of situation where one can make and maintain gainful employment of the middle class inside of their own house is something made possible by listeners like you. We are aiming to upgrade and improve the podcast soon.
We are. It's been 2.5 years, almost 3. But we're long overdue some sort of shake-up, some upgrading, some refreshing to make the show even better than it already is, because god damn it, it's the best damn podcast in the world.
So we're going to be doing a survey asking what you listeners like about the show and what you don't. And we're going to be taking new ideas for new segments, maybe even entirely new spin-off series. But to make that happen, we need your help.
So if you check out the description of this week's episode, you'll find a survey link where you can talk about how much you want to get rid of the news segment.
Oh, God, come on.